This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1184, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello.
From Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What's happening?
And just down the street there, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Okay, Friday, we're at the end of July.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Literally, my kid just got his new school-issued iPad. Like, school's coming back. Seasons are about to shift, life seasons. End of your summer projects, summer travel, summer whatever. What have y'all done? Have y'all done anything this summer that like...
I'm planting a garden. Well, no, I take that back. I'm not...
Are you 70 years old?
Hold up. Wait a second. There are young plant dads, by the way. But I got a letter from my HOA, and they were like, look, yeah, that what you got happening with the landscaping is not happening. And it was so bad they wanted to fine me.
So this is a solution to that?
Wait, you don't have like a lawn company or whatever to like take care of your...
No, so what happened was Tennessee's weather is ridiculous. And during I think it was maybe the year before, last year, it looked like summer was coming, and then we had a drop of like 40 degrees, and it killed a bunch of my plants in the fall towards the end of the year. So my whole thing this summer was like, all right, well, I'm going to strike all those plants and we're going to start all over. Well, I never got to it because I didn't get to it and I didn't care.
A bunch of dead plants in your yard?
It was overran, dog. It was bad. Like I had the worst yard on the lawn. Worst lawn on the block. Like it was really, really bad. I know for a fact that my neighbor across the street called the HOA on me because his grass, there's not one weed in his grass. He has the rocks and all that stuff, but he doesn't know. I brought in reinforcements. My mom is down here from Ohio. We getting
Did you fly her in for the garden?
That's it. For the garden. I had to bring it. I needed a ringer. So
Hold on.
So when you say garden, I thought you were talking about like a vegetable garden or something, like a raised bed.
The landscaping.
Your landscaping. Right. Got it.
Landscaping. Okay. Yeah, the landscaping. So I got I got some hibiscus. I got some some myrtles. I don't even know what these are.
Crepe myrtles?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I got crepe myrtles. That's what I got. I got crepe myrtles.
Pink or white? Which ones?
Purplish.
The pinkish, purplish ones.
Hey,
yeah.
But here's the thing, Derek. Once you play in your mind, you're like, I'm going to get this thing going, and we're all set. No, it is endless maintenance. Until it's like,
no, it's not. You just pay a company to show up every week, and they take care of it.
I floated when we moved into our home. I floated Brady Bunch in it, which I'm talking green astroturf and orange rocks for gardens. That's because
you're going to Phoenix. You're going straight southwest,
like the Brady Bunch backyard. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know why more people don't do that because
we're doing lava rock. So that's what we're doing. I'm laying down paper right now, and I got the pins. I've been in there pinning it out, laying down paper, and then now we're cutting holes, and we're doing lava rock in there. So we just gonna, because I was doing mulch every year, and the guy would mulch it, and then 4 weeks later,
it washed away.
It looks like there was no mulch. So
you got to get the cypress mulch that it doesn't wash away like pine bark does. So
your nightmare is just about to begin. A garden is an invitation to inject stress into your life.
No, it's not stressful at all. You have a company show up every Thursday, and your lawn looks great, and you just don't have to think about it ever again.
Well,
that's it.
Okay, fancy pants.
Hey, listen, I don't help people move anymore. I don't cut my own lawn anymore. Like there's certain things when you get into a phase of adulthood where it's just like, I will sacrifice other areas of my life to have a lawn guy come.
My old landscaper was a 50-year-old rapper. So,
50 Cent was it? Was your landscaper?
No, he's 50 years. He was 50 years old.
So is 50 Cent.
And he literally would have like the biggest gold chain. So when you see him like outside of, like, I'm like, this dude was lit. Like Mac, my dog, like I love him. He did a good job. But my mom was like, "No, we got to bring in the reinforcements for this. We're not going."
My recommendation is astroturf and cacti. Something that needs no maintenance. I will say nothing is worse or more difficult than a vegetable garden. Our house came with like one of those big planters boxes in the backyard, which just sat empty for a while and then became like a storage area in the backyard. A couple of years ago, Dana was like, we're going salsa garden back there. Okay. And it started to yield peppers. Peppers are pretty durable and easy to grow. Here's the thing about peppers, jalapenos. You are rolling the dice. One is like you're eating a cucumber. The next one, I don't swear on this show, is the hottest effing thing you've ever tasted and will ruin your day.
Do you not label them? Do you not like?
It doesn't. Nature has no label. It's not.
No, he's saying the same jalapeno. Like one jalapeno would be.
You don't know.
Wait, what's the science behind that?
It's the seeds. I mean, one of them probably just has more seeds than other ones. I mean, the heat comes from the seeds and peppers.
Look, I'm telling you, one, you're like, I barely taste this thing. I know the texture of a jalapeno. You know, the other one is literally my day is ruined. I accidentally touched my eye. Like this is bad.
Struggling.
I've been watching a lot of hot ones, and like people invariably start rubbing their eyes. I didn't see one episode. I binged probably 20 episodes the other night. I didn't see one where he didn't have to warn the person to not touch their face. Like, hey, you know, because like that's their instinct. Their eyes are watering. They go to rub their eyes, and they've got hot sauce all over their hands. Yeah.
Two summers ago, and Dana made a round of spicy margaritas for some guests we had. That I think you partake in. Cameron,
I was like, yeah, literally, it was me. I was there.
Well, she made one for somebody, and again, the one that he got in his, I looked down and we're in our swimming pool, and he had his face half underwater, just his nostrils sticking out. Oh. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know what was in that one sip of margarita. He's like, my lips are feel like they're peeling off my face right now. And he was swimming around with his lips underwater trying to get relief. Vegetable gardens are a dangerous proposition, especially got jalapenos in the mix.
Don't do jalapenos. Do cherry tomatoes. Do cucumbers. There's a lot of stuff.
It's nature's Russian roulette. You don't know when there's going to be a lava hot ghost pepper in the chamber every time you pick one.
I don't think ghost peppers come from jalapeno plants. I think y'all just did it wrong. I think you just got a mix of seeds, and you don't just have jalapenos going. I think you guys accidentally.
I was Carolina Reapers in there. Yeah.
What if she did like a pepper variety pack of seeds and didn't realize it and thought it was just all jalapenos?
I think
that's probably what's happening.
In my mind, she actually always knew, and she's just kind of been gaslighting you for the last few years.
I think we got a prankster at the seed store. He's like packing up. He's packing it. No, these are just mild jalapenos. He does a couple of those ghost peppers and Reapers.
That sounds like it happened.
Yeah.
Jalapenos don't change. Jalapenos are the same Scoville rating. I mean, they have the same heat always. It's
the old seed store prankster. We got another one, you know?
Another one.
All right. Well, we have a great show in store for you. Coming up later, we talk to Pat Barrett. He has a brand new worship album out today. You don't want to miss out. We have your feedback at the end of the show, but stay tuned. Right now, up next, it's Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Teenage Dads. The song is Boyfriend. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Wired to Fish Coffee. So many companies are not rooted in Christian principles nowadays. However, they do exist. Meet Wired to Fish Coffee. Founded by Christian anglers who are crazy about the love of Jesus for his people, Wired to Fish Coffee gives back 25% of their net profits to faith-based programs and clean water initiatives. Wired to Fish Coffee also offers a smooth, robust taste rivaling any coffee shop brew. Give Wired to Fish Coffee a try today and join a community of people making a positive impact. Use code WECARE at wired2fishcoffee.com at checkout and get an additional bag for free. You can make a difference. Again, that's Wired, the number 2, fishcoffee.com. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
All right. Well, the last few weeks, all anyone's been talking about is politics and assassinations and scandals.
What?
Blah, 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 blah.
Did I miss something?
Nothing major. Don't worry. No, finally, though, the tides are turning. And we know the only thing people will think about for the next few weeks are the Olympics, which start tonight. Who's excited? Not everyone at once, please.
Insert cricket sound.
Yeah, in post. A tumbleweed just blew by.
Are none of y'all excited for the Olympics? I actually really love the Olympics.
I have not watched the Olympics since the Dream Team.
Yeah.
When was that?
92.
The 90s.
92. Yeah.
You have missed out. There's been some good Olympics.
Not really. I mean, I'll be
I like
flipping
Simone
through.
Biles highlights. Like
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
But
There we
I
go.
don't really. Yeah, that's about it.
And
Wait, you don't
here's
think
my
you'll
problem.
get sucked in? You don't think you'll like pop it on Peacock and just, kind of get oddly vested in some sort of trap shooting event? Or that's not you? You don't just like watch it?
No.
Huh.
No.
Even Simone Biles. I'm a huge fan. It's a lot of work watching Simone Biles because when she does the trick, there's too much going on in the air. You really have to slow it down and rewatch it very slow to recognize how
triple
complicated.
double.
Because otherwise, it's like all I know is she jumps ridiculously high while spinning and flipping, and I can't keep up. It's a lot of
If
work.
they reboot the Avengers, she needs to be a stunt double in one of those Marvel movies. Like
Or just a
I
star.
don't care if the person is black or white. Just flip her in there doing flips.
It's like Owen Wilson is the actor, and then Simone Biles is the stunt double.
I'll be honest though.
Backflips.
I'll be honest though, Derek. I'm not quite sure how that translates to fighting bad guys unless you're just distracting them. If Thor is like,
let's make a
"Thanos!"
character. Yeah,
and then
let's
he just starts
make a-
flipping, and now the bad guys are like, "Did you see that?" And they're looking up, and then that's when the hammer hits them. Like I could see if there's like a
Exactly.
distraction.
Exactly.
This
Not
is
for
really
me.
funny because, as y'all know, most of the time I couldn't care less about sports, but the Olympics is the only time I care. And I think it's because like people work so hard for this like one moment. And I kind of always cry whenever they whenever they place, or if they don't place, I cry harder.
And you
'cause
find
I feel
out
bad.
like they aren't paid. They're working at Home Depot. Like
Yeah,
this
it's
is like they're
rough.
sacrificing
It's rough.
the
And
heartwarming
then it
stories
shows their
they tell.
parents, and like
Oh,
their
yeah.
parents are so happy. Like
Jesse just has no heart. That's why he doesn't like it. Like, he's just got a
I
heart of
just don't like being
stone.
bored. I just don't like being bored. That's the thing. Like, look, everybody works hard. Everyone's
It's better
got
than
proud
Shark
parents.
Week. You like Shark Week that just
Not
happened?
anymore. Not anymore. I told you, I'm off.
Shark Week fell off. Shark
did.
Week has fallen off bad. Like it's like
Okay.
they need to do a different style Sharknado thing or something.
I
don't know.
agree in general, but last year I didn't watch it this year. Last year I was at Jesse's house and we
Yeah.
logged into Max and it had Shark
was
Week
pretty
going,
great.
and we
It was
ended up
pretty great.
watching. We ended up watching who is it? The Jackass guys
Yeah.
doing Shark Week stuff, and one of them was doing this stupid thing, like trying to jump over sharks, like the Fonz did, and he fell into the water and got attacked by a shark and went to the hospital and almost died. Like it was all on the show. I was like, Shark Week's back, baby. Like this is
I know.
amazing.
Yeah.
They raised the
I want-
stakes.
We are in the Roman Coliseum. Y'all know how crazy that sounds. Like that's literally
okay,
the
let's
craziest
put. What if we
thing.
put something to do with shark attacks into the Olympics? Are you guys back in now? If there's like
Jesse,
a
no.
shark competition,
Listen,
Like in the
everybody
pool?
that's
Like they're swimming away from the shark
Yeah.
or something. Like okay, yeah.
everybody
I'm in.
that's worked hard to be an Olympian their whole life. I
Yeah.
am so proud of you. You made it.
You made it, and I
I'm
will not be watching.
probably not gonna watch, but
I'll be on.
except for my friends. I have a couple friends that
then you have to
that-
watch
that-
it.
yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'll watch
Who
their
are your
events.
Who are your Olympian friends?
Yeah, shout out, flex them.
Like what events?
You know, hold on 1 second. I got food coming. Sorry.
I mean, that's a real cliffhanger there because I didn't know Derek was the type that's palling around with Olympians. You
Hey,
know?
we remember we met an Olympian, or I was invited to this event at Bob Goff's Lodge, and he has
Yeah.
the weirdest collection of people, and one of them was an Olympian, and I remember we took over a Young Life camp, and the Olympian guy was like a bobsledder or something. He had like thunder thighs. I mean, like he was like a tree trunk strong. And we were at a Young Life camp, and they had one of those blobs, and a big deck, and then you jump off the deck into the blob and launch people into the lake and stuff, Glacier Lake. And he got recruited to be the bouncer, the popper person. I've never been flown so high and far as an Olympic thunder thigh bobsledder jumping onto this thing. He's like 300 pounds.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
That sounds like a more exciting event than bobsled.
It was amazing.
rather
So I
watch
have
the
respect
blob.
for Olympians because they are superhuman. They look like action heroes in real life.
Look, it's not about respect. Obviously, I respect their discipline, and I'm just saying it's not entertaining. Like, there's a lot of things I respect. A scientist who's making a breakthrough. I respect. You're not
going to watch them in their lab.
Yeah, if I'm not going to watch it for the fun of it.
Yeah,
like, sorry, like there's a dissociation. Derek, what events do your Olympian friends participate in? I'm curious.
So one of my friends did bobsledding while you was talking funny, but she's not doing that anymore. She's which is crazy because she still looks insane, right? Yeah. But it's just age. After you do a couple, it's almost like after you do a couple, they're just like you have to be special. That's what makes Simone Biles run crazy because it's like. She's bypassed. She's like LeBron,
which is crazy because
she just doesn't age.
She's 27, I think, 26. Like she's not old, but she is old for
she's old for the Olympics.
She's a 14-year-old Chinese gymnast,
right? Which is wild.
Insane.
Yeah,
and she's dominating.
Well, the three of you are not watching the Olympics.
I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid, but I'll pop it on. I'll watch the basketball games. I'll watch
Germany.
Having
trouble sleeping.
I'll watch the German basketball team because there's 2 Orlando Magic players on it, and they're really good.
Wagner brothers.
Who's the
Wagner brothers, Franz and Mo.
Yeah, for sure.
They played Team USA the other day and crushed it. They lost at the buzzer because of LeBron. But anyway.
So I'm sensing some interest in the Olympics.
Bronny, I'm definitely going to watch the NBA.
I'll watch
the basketball.
I'll watch entertaining. I'll watch entertaining.
And
I'm
breakdancing.
being tough, but I'm acting like I don't care, but I do care. USA.
We'll watch breakdancing. We'll watch basketball. Yes. We'll watch all the weird ones. I'll watch the weird ones.
As a matter of fact, I'll probably watch everything that includes USA and Canada just so I can make fun of Drake every opportunity.
There you go.
If we win.
There you go.
Matter of fact, Kendrick has made me like Team USA. So actually, you know what? Kendrick Lamar may make me watch the Olympics because
whatever it takes.
Whole time I was saying USA, USA every diss track.
Not like us. Not like us.
Real quick.
When the U.S. team wins the gold, instead of playing the national anthem, they play "Not Like Us" because that's our.
Well, real quick, I was thinking, is Kendrick, could he be at the Olympics? But I did see that Snoop Dogg is he the flag bearer or something?
He's running with the torch, representing America.
What connection does he have? I have no beef with.
Oh, it's because he's an American.
Getting money. Yeah, Snoop's getting money.
He does the studio show for Peacock, like him and Kevin Hart.
But why is he running the torch in?
Because NBC got him a slot. That's why.
Look, Snoop and Shaq are the most money-makingest men on the planet. Shaq is going to do every commercial that plays at 1:15 a.m. that you could ever see.
No standards.
Standards. And Snoop is the same way, bro. Snoop is out here getting bread. Like, he's getting to the money.
Shaq does those like the General. I don't even sure what the General's product is, but it
car
looks
insurance.
The animation is the quality that could be produced in a junior high school.
You know the story.
It's clip art.
You know the story is like the General is low cost car insurance. It primarily markets to lower income communities, and they offer like, hey, if you have lapsed insurance and stuff like that, we'll take you on. Like and Shaq tells a story. And everybody made fun of the General because they're cheesy commercial stuff. And Shaq tells a story when he was coming up. He didn't have credit, so he couldn't get car insurance anywhere. And the General gave him car insurance. So he always felt indebted to them. Like they helped him get going and get on his way. And so later, he approached them about being their spokesperson because he so believes in their product and how it can help people. And so he added himself to the cheesy commercials on purpose.
What
Because
about
he's
icy?
like, don't change who you are.
Well, how do you
here's-
explain icy hot and tough actin to Nactin? How do you explain those? Did
That's
they also
money.
help
That's
him
just
out?
his
Okay.
agent doing deals with getting him some endorsement deals. But like
Here's
the
my
general
thing.
is personal for him. For real.
Here's my thing. If you love the general that much, pay for another animator.
But
Like
Thank you.
if they had good commercials, we wouldn't be talking about them. It's genius
know.
marketing.
Thank you, Derek.
Pay for another animator, please. I'm tired of watching this clip art. Like, it's the green screen ain't even cut out all the way. Like, you
love
see
it.
like a little blur around your boy.
It's genius. We're talking about it.
It's like they owed the commercial to like the station at midnight. And they're like, "This is as good as it's going to get, guys. We're on deadline here. Just cut it and go."
All right, Emily.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just
We
like
got
sitting here in awe.
Sarge.
I haven't thought this much about the general ever. But you know, because again, I'm in the Olympics world. Like I'm carrying the sports torch for the Relevant podcast team, which my God, we are in trouble if that's true. But anyways, I'm excited by the Olympics. One thing though that I do before we move on to the next thing that I just kind of want other people to be aware of is while the three of you are not watching the Olympics, billions of other people are going to be watching it. And there is something that we probably won't see, but we should be aware of. Major sporting events have often resulted in a really big rise of human trafficking. And there's a report from the UN that stated that major events or that events like the Olympics can draw in about 3 times the normal volume of trafficking. And so to prepare for this, Paris police are upping their presence at the games. There's going to be about 35,000 police deployed each day. And the organizations like A21, It's a Penalty, are working with these police and working with government agencies like the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to identify these victims and help them find freedom.
What do we when you're talking about trafficking people in and police and organizations are trying to identify who's being trafficked? I'm tainted by Hollywood. My perception, or The Wire. I just watched The Wire. Like that was like girls were in shipping containers, and then the mafia opened the shipping containers, and then they were stuck. You know, like they were literally trafficked. Is that what you're talking about, or is there some sort of like indentured servanthood, or like what is it that they're on the lookout for that there's going to be this big increase?
There is, I mean, trafficking encompasses a lot of things. So there is indentured servitude. There is these sex trafficking rings. Like at the Brazil Olympics a few years ago, there was a big trafficking ring that was uncovered, I think just days before the Olympics actually happened. So it's just, there's an influx of people and these traffickers are trying to take advantage of that. And so, you know, like these organizations are working with police to help them identify things like people traveling without documents, people who maybe can't answer where they're staying or how long they're staying here, people who kind of look like they're being controlled or just being watched over by someone in a just unsafe manner. So there's training them to kind of help identify. There's a lot, like I said, it's a very nuanced thing. There's a lot of different signs and different reasons that it happens.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, when there are vulnerable populations, you know, no matter how they kind of got there, and whether that is like someone who's like a migrant worker or someone who is, you know, can kind of blend in but may not have documentation. Those types of individuals are often easy to manipulate because they feel like they can't go to law enforcement because they feel like they don't want to kind of get in trouble for something else or find themselves in a bad
They're
situation.
illegally, and yeah,
exactly. And so a lot of times that's why they are preyed upon. And I mean, and that happens even on places like the southern border, you know, where, you know, a lot of those individuals are susceptible to different types of trafficking, from sex trafficking to basically indentured servitude to like drug cartels, you know, because they don't feel like they can go to law enforcement. So yeah, it is definitely a nuanced, sad thing.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of organizations doing work. I want to actually read this quote from the Unbound Now CEO. I mentioned them earlier. His name's Brian Anderson. He said, "Partnering with law enforcement to support victims in fighting freedom is at the core of Unbound Now's mission. We have repeatedly seen the power of collaboration within a multidisciplinary approach to combat human trafficking, and we're grateful for the opportunity to come alongside officials in France at the 2024 Olympics." So, you know, while athletes are coming together to work to bring hope, it's inspiring to see these organizations from different countries coming together to work.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, moving on. I have, quite honestly, a really depressing news study to share, at least depressing for me.
Oh, great. Really happy Relevant Buzz this week.
Yeah, well, I was trying to say it in a happy voice, but it's just tough for me. But anyways, according to a new Pew Research Center, 1 in every 4 adults will stay single for life.
True. Oh, sorry. What?
I mean, well, yeah. Is that curiosity? Is that new? Like, is that like higher numbers than traditionally 1 in 4?
Yes, there's been a huge shift in societal norms over the last several decades, and this new trend suggests that by the time today's young adults reach 50, a quarter of them will have never married.
True. Oh, wait, I didn't.
I'm sure. Again, like there's a lot of reasons why. Like, is it just because of a culmination of like technology has us more isolated, remote work, coming out of COVID? Like,
I have,
changing.
I have some thoughts. What are your thoughts, Emily?
Well, so I would say a small part of it is that this has been going on for like several years, actually. So even before COVID, this trend was kind of coming this way. Like it was obviously 1 in 5. Now it's shortening to 1 in 4.
But it was like, wasn't it like millennials are getting married later and stuff? Maybe it's just like the potential window. It goes from 15 years now to 5 years to whatever. And if you miss your window, whoa, all of a sudden I'm 50 and still single.
Okay, don't say that, because my window, I hope it's still at least, I got like 21 years before that window closes.
You got 21 years. You know what can happen in 20 years? You can have 3 marriages in that time. You're good. Don't worry about it.
I'm just trying to have one personally.
That's a fact.
That is pretty long marriages. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 good runs.
3 good runs.
3rd time's the charm by the time I'm 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, so part of it is kind of like you were saying, millennials, like they did pursue career over family. And it does, because of that, like a lot of these ones, they finally get their career by the time they're in their late 20s, early 30s. Well, by then, a lot of people are already married or just have decided that their life's fine and they don't want to get married. And it's just not something that they pursue. Because one thing that I thought was really interesting was the study showed single individuals report higher levels of self-determination and personal growth compared to their married peers. Yeah,
that's right. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, I wanted to point this out, though, because this is something that I've talked about with my single friends, because we
talk about it all the time, don't we? Yeah.
I'm talking about my single girlfriends. We like joke a lot, though, because I've had many people say like, oh, you're such a independent woman. And I have this thought of, am I independent by choice or because I've had to be? Because like I've never been in a relationship where I've been, dependent on someone. And so it's like, am I this way because this is my actual personality, or because I have to do everything on my own and life's kind of made me that way?
What do you think?
Yeah, let's get real. Let's get real.
Wow, we are getting real. Are we back to burning questions?
Come on.
Honestly, I think that I'm independent because life's made me this way. Like I'm not
survive. You have to.
Yeah, I am not really single by choice. Like I would love to be in a relationship. That just hasn't happened, and that's fine. But because of that, like, I don't want my life to just pass me by or wait. And so I choose to do things on my own. Like I traveled for a full year, or I go, to the movies on my own, even small things like that, where it's like, I do things on my own because I want to enjoy my life. And I've learned to make peace with it, but I'm not going to lie and say I wouldn't mind having someone come along with me and do things with me from time to time. Someone else can do the grocery shopping.
So, and here's the thing that happens. You're like, oh yeah, we're going to get married and we're going to travel some more. No, what's going to happen is you got more bills. Yeah. So what's going to happen? You got more bills, or that person may not, it's crazy because, this stat is insane in my mind, because I don't think it's just because of like relationship stuff. I think it's also financial stuff. Is like, back in the day, one income, you'd be able to have a house, a vehicle, and you'd be able to have even time to date. But I feel like now, like, man, you got 2 people that are running, they're working 40, 44 hours a week, and then they're exhausted by the time they get home. You don't really have time for a big social life. So you don't even have time to even explore and get out and hang as much. So I feel like it's like that. Like so many, like we're definitely a 2-income economy. Yeah. And it just doesn't allow for a lot of social time. You know,
So you're saying there's pros and cons.
That might be a factor as well.
Emily, see, there's pros and cons. You don't have to worry about it.
Just like Paul said, it's, better not to be. I mean, like,
and you could be married up to 7 times by the time you're 50. You're good. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
7 times before 50 is crazy.
I mean, three years of pop. 3 years of pop. I mean, come on.
So how long is the dating period on that then? Like, because I gotta be dating.
You're a woman who knows what you want, and so you don't need to dilly dally. So
true.
Third date, make it happen, Captain. You know what I'm saying?
Do not listen to anything he says.
This sounds like great.
not one
Cameron
thing.
sounds like he has a solution to this social.
No, he doesn't have the solution. He doesn't have the solution. Don't listen.
3-day courtship.
Listen, if Christian college taught me anything, the first girl you date, you're engaged within the first month, and then it works. So
the ring by spring.
It works at least for 3 years, and then you move on to the second one.
That did not work.
It is wild,
MRS
the difference.
degree.
Like, I have friends who obviously are Christians, but I also have friends who are not Christians, and the difference in their like dating pattern. Like, I have a friend who's getting married in September. She's been dating her boyfriend or her fiance for, I think, going on 8 years. And in my mind, I'm like, if this was a Christian couple, I feel like people in the church would be judging them so hard about like, why haven't you been getting married yet? And it's like, that's crazy. Like,
they are married. They have everything but the mortgage. Like, they got shared bills.
Well, there's like a common law marriage right there.
They're married. They're married. Like,
well, in September they will be.
They're just making it official.
Common law marriage is one of those things. It's like the citizen's arrest. I just don't know how it works. I'm sure it gets thrown around, but that sounds like a common law marriage to me. I know nothing about this, but that
I think
sounds
it's
like
over
what
7
that
years.
is.
Like, if it ended,
I thought it was
she
10
would get
years.
half. Is it 10? Okay.
Well, I'll figure that out. But before while I
all
go
that,
do that,
all that to say, you're not alone. 1 in 4 also will be single at 50. So don't feel bad when.
no offense to the single people.
She's not going to be single.
Trying to be single. For
I will
Don't
be.
put that on me.
I will be. All right. All right. What do you have? What's the last thing?
Last thing, super quick. The first trailer for the Bob Dylan biopic, called Complete Unknown, dropped this week. And as we know, Timothy Chalamet is playing Bob Dylan. We knew he had the look down, but the trailer shows us that he's kind of got the voice down too. So let's take a listen.
Oh, man.
I want to tell you a little story. A few months back, my friend Woody Guthrie and I, we met a young man. He dropped in on us out of nowhere and he played us a song. In that moment, we got a feeling we were getting a glimpse of the future.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son?
Okay, Timothy.
Oh, where have you been,
This is phenomenal.
my darling young one? I stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains.
That's Timothy Chalamet singing?
Yeah.
I walked and I crawled on 6 crooked highways.
He is embodied young Bob Dylan.
I stepped in the middle of 7 sad
Timothy
forests.
Chalamet is putting up buckets.
Yeah,
That
that's
dude
pretty-
is out of here. Like,
That's
we
crazy.
looking at Leonardo DiCaprio run level
I think he's
stuff right now.
I think he's going to go on to be probably one of the greatest actors of like my generation.
Yeah, he's the truth. That dude is out of here.
I'm gonna be the contrarian here.
Ooh.
Like, this kind of stuff makes me nervous because, I think there's a fine line between like a really interesting portrayal of someone and a really good impersonation, right? Like, Frank Caliente can sound like anyone, or, with the right makeup, you can be made to look capturing the essence of somebody in a way that challenges the way you think about them. I think that, look, maybe he pulls it off, but it's like, just because someone can impersonate someone very accurately, I don't know if I'm definitely in on the biopic. Sometimes I think it's more fun when it's their own take on the character. Go ahead, Derek.
He made Wonka, like, he made me fall back in love with Wonka, like Willy Wonka. Because, there's been there was the original and then there was a couple other things. This last musical that he did, I did not want to go. And my kids were like, nah, I want to go. Wife was like, I want to go. And I, in that joint, glued to the screen, like nobody's business. Like I was the one pushing them to go.
Wow.
So I just, I really like his acting style. Like seeing that, and then I feel like dude got the chops, man. I feel like he has it.
The voice was the big thing for me, just because like Bob Dylan's voice is so distinct that it's like, if he can't get that, then this is going to be a mess. But I think he's got it. So I'm excited. The movie comes out in December, so we'll see if Jesse's take is right or not.
I think it's going to be good. Kind of like when Jamie Foxx did Ray. I think it's going to be like one of those all-time memorable biopics. All right, that'll do it for Relevant Buzz. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every day, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, life, and everything in between. All right, stay tuned. Up next, Pat Barrett joins us. You're listening to Tisha and Ingrid Witt. The song is Drive. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by American Prophet. In this new novel, Peter begins to have dreams of major events just before they happen. As his dreams come true, he attracts followers as well as skeptics. Conspiracy theories and violent threats force Peter to the open road, driving him deep into the heart of a divided nation. American Prophet by Jeff Fulmer is on sale now at Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Go check out American Prophet by Jeff Fulmer today. Well, our guest today is Pat Barrett. He's a worship leader based in Atlanta. He's behind songs like Good, Good Father and Build My Life. Well, today he releases his brand new project called Happily Hidden. He sat down with us and opened up about how he was surprised by his latest album and why he thinks the church should focus more on their time with God and less on their time with social media. Here's our conversation with Pat Barrett.
I'm loved, I am loved, and there's nothing I can do to change your mind. I am loved, and it's more than every joy I felt combined. No greater treasure than knowing I am yours and you are mine. I am loved, and I've never been this free in all my life.
Well, we just spoke last year when you had released Shelter, and you know what? I actually don't even think it's been a full year since you released that project. So where did this new album, Happily Hidden, come from?
My inability to chill. Just kidding. This is one of those projects, honestly, that I didn't feel like in any way, there's like no obligatory reason to do it. In a lot of ways, the timing didn't even make sense. It didn't feel like, again, I just put a record out less than a year ago. But when we went in to do the Shelter album, you know, I had like my Dropbox folder full of songs that had been written, and I had a meeting with a few people I just really trust. We had just a song meeting, and they went through the whole Dropbox, and we were going to meet and just talk about, okay, what songs stick out to you, which ones feel like, you know, just to get some input. And before going into it, I just felt like in my heart, I was looking at these songs and felt like there were two different collections of songs here. And one felt like the Shelter record, and then another one was like this specific category of song that, you know, that's prayerful and in some ways contemplative, like so much like heart in it. I just felt like it would be amazing if there was like I was curious, like, do these belong in something different? Because there's so many of them. And so I went into that meeting and I just didn't say that out loud. It was just like in my heart, and was praying through it. And someone I really respect just said, you know, I'm listening to these songs. It feels like there's two collections of songs here. And it was just a sweet little confirmation. Like, it's not like you always get those or you even need it, but it began as a curiosity and really a desire. And a lot of these songs now on this Happily Hidden project were the songs that I'd play first thing in the morning, and the songs that I wanted to like fill my head and heart before the day started like coming at me, you know. That's like the simple practical reason. And then there was also on top of that, it's probably an ache is the best word for it. The last few years, you know, writing and leading and also starting, maybe it's like a life stage thing too, with like the ages of my kids. Youngest is 7, oldest is 12. We're in, like, Meg and I, my wife and I, are in a different chapter of life, and traveling and, you know, anything that involves being gone is like exponentially more difficult. Like, they feel it. My family feels it. There's this, like, the modern age has thrown us into this perpetual, you're always on. There's rarely a boundary. You have a device, and if anyone knows your phone number, they can interrupt you at any time unless you click it off. There's this inescapable availability, it feels like. And the ache was, does it have to be that way? And should it even be that way? Really? There's like a question going on in just our family. And I just felt this really simple reminder, probably, of Jesus did things a different way. And so many moments in scripture filled with him withdrawing. Like the word, like he withdrew is there a lot. That phrase withdrew, or he went to a lonely place to pray, or he like set these, like, it was such a massive part of his life, like the practice of his life, that I think we avoid at all costs. The intentionality of like turning this thing off. You're unavailable to anything or anyone else. That's a rare feeling, and it hasn't always been that way, but it's been such a beautiful, like, I want to say return, but it's not like it ever left. Reincorporating in a really intentional way that practice, like before the world's awake, to withdraw and to be with God and to listen to what Jesus said. Like, when you pray, go in your room and shut the door. Don't let the totality of your spirituality be in front of people, in front of a camera, like leveraged on social media. So people are like, you're so spiritual, we love you. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that type of thing in there as well, that it's just felt really important to me. And so the album was like, okay, this is like such like a heart passion project, and it's been such a sweet, like doubling down on the most important things in life, which is communion and stillness with God, and then living a life from there. And it has to be a practice. It can't be like a thought or an idea or even like a theology. It's got to be like flesh and blood and time set aside. Like, it's physical. It's, you know, it's not a cool thought. And that's what I like about it. There's no escaping that reality, that this is what we're invited into. A hidden place with God, and the opportunity and the invitation to have real, deep contentment without being seen by anybody. Like that, which is like, that would be like a crazy thought, to be like, oh, nothing more would make me more happy and nothing less would make me less happy. Me having or getting or not having doesn't change at all this way of living, and, you know, it's like miraculous or something. So these songs have been that for me. Honestly, they've been like the soundtrack to that.
And we will seek your face before we seek your hand.
You know, that's a really interesting idea to explore, because you're right. It seems like we don't focus on those hidden moments with God. We're more concerned with this public image that we project, especially online. I'm curious, how do you think we've gotten to this point?
That is a complicated question. The most simple version to me is that it's not a new struggle. It's a really old one, actually. And I think some of Jesus's most cutting and critiquing words were to people actually like me. Like you like to stand, and have the highest seat at the table, and you like to pray loudly to be seen. But there's like this to be seen by others thing. Like it's our old, I don't know what it is. Like there's a temptation there to do things to be seen by other people. And it's not new. It's actually like ancient, right? And what makes it tricky right now, I think, even more so, is that we've incorporated a lifestyle of connection and even presenting our lives like everything's to be seen. No one is posting on Facebook to not be seen, or on Instagram to not be seen. Like that is its function. No one's really using, and sometimes you're like, well, I'm just using it to post the pictures of my family and it's like self-expression. Like, well, maybe, but why would it be on that medium then? We've incorporated that into our lives in a way that I think the ramifications, or I should actually say like the remedy, isn't different than what Jesus said. It's actually the same remedy. Oh, you're starting to feel like burned out or insecure, or like you're now comparing your life because you're constantly like looking at what they're doing and the way they've presented themselves. And now you feel like you have to present yourself in a way that's liked and followed and clicked. And, Jesus gives us the opposite of that. And we don't like it, actually. I don't think we like it. We don't like the feeling of, we don't know what to do oftentimes with our own thoughts or with ourselves. And I find that fascinating. I find that a little bit terrifying. I also realize that when you add that practice, intentionally withdrawing, it does something to your heart that is, I think it's kind of unexplainable. All of a sudden, you don't need all the other things you thought you needed. And your metric changes. Like, I write songs. So for me, I'm writing songs. I'm also putting songs out. So I even realize this conversation, like in some ways, like undermines the heart of it. Like I'm in front of a camera. We're talking about this thing. I think the motive part of it is the curious one. It takes a lot of self-reflection and willingness to be embarrassed about looking at some of the reasons we do what we do. And Jesus' old question is, are you doing this to be seen by somebody? And if so, why? And I wonder if the second part of that is because if you felt seen by God, you wouldn't need that other type of attention the way you need it now. Because attention and affection and affirmation is beautiful. My kids need that from me, but there's this deeper thing, like, unless I have this from you, or unless we're doing this interview and afterwards you're like, wow, he's amazing, I won't be okay. And Jesus is like, well, if you just spend time with your Father who loves you and has actually gone through some pretty incredible lengths to let you know that, all of a sudden you have the most healthy, most beautiful, miraculous form of affirmation you could ever have from God. And then all of a sudden, whether someone likes this song or doesn't like the song doesn't ruin my life, or likes this post or likes this post, because already I have contentment in a different, deeper place. And I think that's beautiful. Like the new normal is this: camera at our ready all the time, always on. You see what I want you to see. A version of me that I want to show. And God does not meet with that version of you. He meets with the real you. And I think that's sometimes a really painful experience for people, because you have to face a lot of things in your heart. But that's where God is.
That was Pat Barrett. Make sure to check out his brand new album. It's called Happily Hidden. It's available wherever you get your music today. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You're listening to Nick Ward. The song is All Your Life. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org. Okay, it's time for your feedback. But if you remember on last week's show, we mixed up this episode. We didn't do a normal relevant buzz. Instead, we did 5 burning questions. And so we asked you for the feedback segment to send in more burning questions for the cast. Now, a little programming note. Jesse had to step out, so he won't be part of this segment, but Derek and Emily and I can hold this down. So here we go. Here are some of the questions you guys sent in.
Shannon says she loves what I said about the next generation's curiosity. So how do you think that impacts the future of the church? So me and my mom talked about this not long ago. Like we were planting, doing the landscaping or whatever. And we had a question about a plant. And I said, well, I'm just going to talk to my counselor, Google. And we were like, oh, there's so much information. And then I said, yeah, but with the information, she's like, yeah, I can go and find whatever I want. I said, but also there's misinformation. And I think that the opportunity here is going to be for those that have dedicated their life to knowing about Jesus and the gospel and history to actually help guide people that have been trying to wade through all of this information and misinformation to find out, what is church history? What is the Holy Spirit? How do we view God? Like how have we historically viewed God? Right. Because it's just like anything else in today's world. Like everybody's like, oh, I can just figure it out on YouTube. And you get halfway through the project and you realize that you're not equipped enough to do this on your own and you need some help. And I feel like that's where the church, if it doesn't shy away and just say, hey, just do what I told you to do, and just says, you know what, I'm going to embrace these questions and I'm going to help you walk it out together using my expertise with me going to school or me being a pastor for X amount of years, being able to help guide young people. I think that that's what it is. I think where the curiosity is coming from running into brick walls that most of us run into. And we all need friends to help us walk alongside each other. So I'm hoping that the church will take more of a route of friend and mentorship as opposed to authoritarian, like do what I told you to do. I think if we take that position, is going to help because we're going to equip these kids in a better way than we were even equipped because we didn't have as many questions because there wasn't that much information out there. So that's my view.
Yeah, I agree. Like I had a pastor in college who I think he was a curious person himself. So he invited us to be curious, or he allowed us to be curious. And I think that was where I experienced probably the most spiritual growth, was because I could finally ask the questions that I'd always wanted to my whole life. And it was exciting.
Well, I see one here. Here comes Johnny. He said, this one's for Jesse. So sorry, Jesse's not here, but this one caught my eye. He said, I've struggled with this for a while, but it seems like Jesse, has put more thought into this than I have. How do you reconcile scientific discoveries and theories with your faith beliefs? And Jesse, I want Jesse to answer this when he comes back on the next show. I'm going to bring this up to him. But Jesse and I talk about this a lot. Like, here's what I've concluded, because I'm not going to take anything as face value. Like, I want to hold this up to scripture as well. There has been nothing in my faith journey personally where anything scientific has refuted anything about my belief that God is a omniscient God with a creative intent for his creation and his people and whatever. The rest of it, we know in part and we see in part. Scientific theories about origin of creation or about whatever are just that. Science is learning. We're learning more about relativity and physics every day, about astronomy every day. And none of that, as our understanding grows, to me, it gives us more and more clarity of just how beautiful God's plan is. To me, there's nothing that says, well, this is like unraveling Bible. I mean, if you think about just like in the creation theory, I went out to a conference organization called BioLogos years ago, and it's like a Christian science and faith, organization. And they talk a lot about creation theory, and they have a lot of resources. And I grew up young earth creationist was the only thing taught. I went to a Christian school, church, everything. And I learned there, here are sincere Christian scientists, faith leaders. I mean, the guy who head up the Human Genome Project,
Is it Francis Collins?
Dr.
No.
Francis Collins was there, whatever. And I learned so many things that the church never taught me about how our faith and our scientific understanding complement each other. And there is nothing contradictory. And I brought him a book called Origins, and it was a Christian book about creation theory. And I learned there's 9 different Orthodox Christian creation theories. There's obviously young earth creationism. There's gap theory. There's old earth creationism. There's theistic evolution. And it's we don't know. We weren't there. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I hold certain things with an open hand, and science is learning, and I'm learning from science. And I'm, I think God, allows us to see his will and his nature revealed through creation and through science. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
I think it's also about understanding the narrative of the scriptures. The scriptures aren't there to prove scientific.
It's not a science book, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a science book. It's not there to prove creation. It was written from people that weren't at creation about what they've been illuminated by God, and with their understanding could understand about God's love for them by saying that God is a creator. Like God, this wasn't an accident, that this was by design, right? So I think that for me, I think the problem that a lot of Christians get into is when we make everything in the Bible literal, and we get trapped in the weeds of fighting arguments that the Bible's not even making about the scriptures. Like most of the time, the Bible's not making a scientific argument. It's usually making a theological argument about God's love for his people. And I think that if we land there, that's how I've reconciled it, is hey, there's no penguins in the Bible. That doesn't make the Bible false because there's no penguins in it. It's hot. They were there's no penguins in the desert. Sorry, guys. That wasn't the purpose of the Bible, to be a science book.
And too, it's something that is factual, and we can observe, in the Galapagos Islands and stuff like that, is the blinders on young earth creationists saying evolution does not happen, whatever. We can literally observe over the course of decades, not eons, decades in the Galapagos, certain species of birds and moths and frogs evolving and adapting to their environment and growing abilities that earlier generations of that animal did not have, and changing, look at dog breeds, look at, it's just things evolve and change. And it's I think if you start to understand that you don't think that dog breeds they're all dogs. They all started with a dog, it's possible they all started with a dog, and different traits were bred into them. Blah, blah, blah. You understand that if you apply that, zoom out and apply that scale to creation, that God's creation is a living and breathing entity. It's not stagnant. It's it just opens up your understanding of scripture a little differently. You see things a little differently.
I always like to imagine dogs in the Garden of Eden, just like a corgi running around, just with
literally every modern breed existed on day one. No, that didn't happen.
It's just so funny to think about.
Yeah, a chihuahua and a corgi. There's a few. Okay, let's see. There's a lot more actually. Aiden Kiss says, "What's something you're obsessed with right now?"
Landscaping.
Don't say Love Island.
No, Love Island's over, so I'm not obsessed with it anymore. I don't know. I feel like I'm always obsessed with different things. According to the last episode, I'm obsessed with Glenn Powell, so I guess maybe I can say him again.
Well, that's part of the singleness thing.
I'm waiting for Glenn Powell. Is that what you're saying?
And I landscaping is a bit, and no, it's landscaping. Honestly, no, literally, I am trying to figure out, my neighbor across the street told me that I need to get some Scott's Turf Builder in September and mix half of that and a bag of sugar in the mix, put it in a spreader, and he's like, it's gonna make your grass come back greener. We've been what else have we done? Oh yeah, we got my irrigation system fixed. So I got sprinklers shooting out like it's like I'm becoming that dude, man. So it's like I'm like, I told my neighbor, I literally looked at my neighbor next door, I said, I'm coming for you. Like, you know, coming for you. It's like, it felt like a Will Ferrell movie, like, no lie.
That's
you know
what I mean.
Like, and I'm gonna make it happen. Like, I'm gonna have the best yard on the block this year or next year. Not this year. This year is trash, but next year.
I love it.
I love that you got to
win. I love it that you have to win at landscaping.
Yes. I have to.
Yeah, you have to.
It's everything. Everything's competition.
I want to throw in one more obsession because it's kind of a funny one. I've been obsessed with trying different pasta salad recipes this summer. I don't know why. I'm just on a big pasta salad kick.
I love pasta salad.
It's so fun to make. I make like a big
I gotta come over.
Okay, you're done. This week I did it's like a Mediterranean Greek salad or Greek pasta salad kind of situation. It's very good.
The only time I've ever had pasta salad is like on the salad buffet. You put a little scoop on the side.
And I love it. I love it. Another thing that I'm obsessed with, I forgot, I'm obsessed with dental hygiene. I just bought a water flosser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just bought a water flosser. It is loud as crap, but you don't know what's in your gums until you put a water flosser on it.
I don't know if I want to know. It's probably a lot of pasta salad at this point.
It probably is. Like brushing and flossing alone is not going to get it. The water flosser, it was just like I looked in the sink and I said, Jesus. Lord have mercy.
Who put ketchup in the sink?
Right. I was like, oh, that was in my... Oh my God! Like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, it was rough. It was rough. It was rough for a minute, but you know, we good now, baby. Oh man, we good.
Let's see. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. We'll try and tackle them when Jesse's back next week. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
Well, Derek was talking about, his obsession right now is winning at landscaping, and I, unlike Derek, want to have a nice looking lawn. Unlike Derek, I do not want to do it myself. And so I try to get professionals to come elevate the yard. He wants to take it on. This is now his obsession. It's his project. See, I know my limits. other people can do it better than me. All right. So we want to know, what is a project that you've taken on that you thought you could do? You got in over your head and it did not go the way you had hoped it would go. Maybe it's home renovations.
I can't wait for
Maybe
this.
It's home renovations. Maybe it's landscaping. Maybe it's you wanted to build a boat. You took it out and you sunk it the first day. Something. Tell us.
The first day.
The first day is crazy.
They didn't make it watertight. It just started to fill. Got in the middle of the lake and
they forgot to put the hole in the bottom.
Exactly.
They forgot to patch
Plug
it
the
up.
hole.
I want to hear all the home improvement stuff. I want to hear the putting in cabinets. Yep. I want to hear toilets. I want to hear all of that. I want to know all of it.
Or if you're in an apartment, you can't do home reno. Like maybe there's like a temporary peel and stick situation with, whatever. Tell us all the things that have gone wrong, but you thought you could do it as good as a pro. All right. Hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast. We'll read our favorites on next week's show. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Pat Barrett for joining us today. His new album is called Happily Hidden and it is out today, wherever you get your music. Go check it out. It's great. Also, make sure to check out issue 115 of Relevant. It's available now, and it is free. Just go to relevantmagazine.com, click the magazine tab, and it is right there. We have an amazing cover story with Letitia Wright. We have amazing bands like Colony House and Judah and the Lion, local natives. We have some great think pieces, some great conversations, a very eye-opening long-form conversation with Carl Lenz, and a lot more. It's all available for free. Just go check it out. If you want the beautiful digital magazine experience, you can get it through Relevant Plus. For as low as $2.50 a month, you get not only the digital magazine, you get ad-free reading at relevantmagazine.com, and you get an ad-free version of this podcast as well. You can sign up. Just click right there in the header. You can click the Relevant Plus ad, and it'll take you right there. You can sign up and get immediate access to it. It's the best way to get our content. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
A garden is an invitation to inject stress into your life.
Relevant Podcast Network.